Let's talk about the Paramount Arts Center in Ashland, Kentucky. Some of you might remember that a few months ago I made a video about the Paramount and about Paramount Joe. Because of that video, somebody from the Paramount reached out to me and invited me to do something amazing, something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, which is ghost hunt the Paramount. It wasn't just any ghost hunt though, it was actually me hosting a whole bunch of people who wanted to come and investigate with ghost hunters but right before Halloween. So this actually happened on October 21st. Maybe some of you were there. Maybe some of you attended. If you were there, leave me a comment and let me know you were there, and especially if you were on my team. So anyway, it had been on my bucket list for years to get to investigate the Paramount, and I've actually investigated near the Paramount, but I had never got to do the Paramount, so this was a huge dream come true. I always wanted to meet Paramount Joe. So since a lot of people really enjoyed the video that I made about the Paramount, I thought I would do like another Paramount video and talk about the things that happened that night while I was on the investigation. Spoiler alert, I did see a ghost. So initially I was going to try to vlog this whole thing, but the entire night ended up being super hectic and I wasn't able to vlog it. I was barely able to get, you know, just decent footage to like kind of use as B-roll for a video like this. So I only have a little bit to share with you, unfortunately, but a little bit's better than nothing, I guess. So we started off the night.
This is our third year, and we have 4 guides that are with us tonight. This is Sarah, and she is from ParanormallyCorrect. And we have Tish, and she is with the Paramount Players. And we have Holbrooks and Hanks, and that is Crescent on the end, Scott and Haley.
We broke up into groups and we immediately kind of dispersed throughout the Paramount to start the investigation. Me and my team started out in the practice space, so like the rehearsal hall. I had toured the Paramount prior to this just to kind of like get acquainted with everything and get a feel for, you know, how things were gonna go. And there was one place in the entire building that I felt like there was probably some energy, and it definitely wasn't the rehearsal space. So I was a little bit like, oh, this is not a good start. We're not gonna get off to a good start here because I don't think that there's really much activity in this particular part of the theater, but so we go up there and we're like in total pitch black darkness and we start a ghost box session. Is that you locking the box door up by any chance? And immediately we start getting some really strange voices coming across the speakers, and it kind of seemed like right off the bat we were getting responses to questions, but I wasn't convinced yet because, you know, you kind of have to take the ghost box with a grain of salt sometimes. That's another topic for another day. If you guys want me to talk about the ghost box in depth, I can definitely do that. But we did get some interesting responses. I think there were like 4 other teams or something like that, and I think total there was like 50 some people, so we're pretty good sized teams moving around the building, and we only had about 30 minutes per room before we rotated again. So the first 30 minutes flew by. Everybody I think was starting to get, you know, kind of spooked out a little bit because the ghost box was kind of being wild. And then it was time to switch. So we switched, we went downstairs to the main theater room. And I think the second place that my team went to was the one place that I was looking the most forward to, which was the pit, which is underneath the stage. And it's just like a wide black dark crevice at the end of a really creepy hallway. This is actually where we got most of the activity for that night. Not all of it, but most of it. Incidentally, when I did the tour, this is the space that I thought would be the most active once we started the investigation. And it turned out I was right because this ended up being one of the most active spots all night. So we all crowded into the pit underneath the stage, and I was a little bit kind of, I don't know, stressed out because I thought, well, we're not really going to be able to hear much because there's so much noise coming from other places in the building, and like, you know, we're trying to do like an EVP session. I didn't have the ghost box set up down here, but I pulled out like a cat ball that I thought maybe the ghost might want to roll across the floor. It never did. but you know, wishful thinking, whatever. But what was really spooky was at one point, one of the people on my team, which by the way, these two people were super awesome. If you watch this, thank you so much for bringing equipment, because I feel like you totally saved the night. But they brought some of their own personal equipment. So they set up a REM pod and like a little music box player that had like a trip beam, like a laser beam on it. It was really cool. And they set it like in the hallway. While we were doing just an EVP session, I was kind of pacing back and forth in front of this door that leads into the pit. And the hallway behind me is dark, but there's a light at the other end outside of the hallway. You could see a little bit, but visibility wasn't great. Because I'm pacing, I see who I thought was the woman who organized the event coming to the pit, and I didn't know if like maybe she was just popping in because she was kind of moving from place to place in the theater while the investigation was going on. I didn't know what it was, but I clearly saw her coming through the hallway, so I stepped out of the way of the door. I had equipment laying on the ground, so I was going to kind of step in front of it so that, you know, because she couldn't see it. It was totally dark in there. And as I went to move, this shadow figure just completely vanished. And it wasn't her. It was not the lady that organized the event. And this freaked me out so bad because honestly, I was feeling a little bit pessimistic and skeptical about how much evidence we were going to collect that night, or, you know, whether or not we were going to have any experiences. I really didn't have high hopes. The Paramount's definitely haunted, but for some reason, I just wasn't expecting too much, because I know with a lot of people, sometimes it's hard to capture paranormal activity. I'm not sure why, but it just sometimes is. My hopes were pretty low. The bar was set pretty low, and then we've only been investigating for less than an hour, and all of a sudden I see a shadow person. Later on in the night, some of the other people on my team told me that they saw a shadow moving around in the hallway too.
Definitely just saw a shadow in the doorway behind that big black door that's open or something. Just saw something right in there. It's like it was right next to that door. I thought it was about dark too. Yeah.
You know, what's really interesting about this particular hallway is because those two people who were on my team had brought their own equipment, one of the two devices actually kept going off over and over and over. So it was like something was walking back and forth in front of the little music box, tripping the light sensor on it, and it's exactly where I saw the shadow walk through the hall. So definitely activity in the pit under the stage. As the night progressed, we kind of moved through different parts of the theater and, you know, did 30 or 40 minutes roughly in each area. We did EVP sessions, we did ghost box sessions, and so forth. There were a couple strange things happened here and there, like when we were in the dining hall, I think is what they call it. It's the room with the piano. It's a really pretty room, but I wasn't feeling like we were, you know, going to pick up much in this room. It didn't have that ominous, heavy feel that paranormally active places seem to have for some reason. But we did get some interesting responses on the ghost box. Do you know where you are? Can you tap on a wall or knock on a door and let us know that you're here?
What's the name?
Let's try.
And a couple of times I heard some weird growl-like sounds. Not like animal growls, but like, I don't know, if a person was trying to growl and make their voice sound animalistic, I suppose. But I heard that through my headset and my EVP recorder. I wasn't sure what it was, so I thought it was neat, and, you know, I just kind of dismissed it because there was really no way to know if that was explainable or not, because there were so many people. Kind of had to throw that out as evidence, but it was interesting nonetheless. We tried investigating the projector room because apparently there's been a lot of activity up there, but the problem with the projector room is it seemed like there was a really high level of EMFs. It could be a combination of like old wiring and all of the mechanical stuff that's in that room. But to me, when I hear people say that the projector room is like really active and really haunted and people get a weird feeling just being up there, I think it's the EMFs coming through the wall. I don't think we got anything while we were up there. Now, I'm sure other people may have had experiences there. We didn't experience anything, and we actually ended up leaving that room because everybody started feeling, you know, that icky feeling when you're too close to, like, I don't know, like a big electrical apparatus. It makes you feel gross. So we took off. I was like, you guys want to go? And they're like, yes, we do. So we left. And then the next place we went to, we got confused. We were trying to go to like the 4th floor, but then they said someone's on the 4th floor, so you can't go to that one. So then I had to bring everybody back down to a different floor. Anyway, this is where things got super weird. So on this particular floor, and this is where we kind of finished up the night, this is where like all of the dressing rooms are. Apparently that's one of the most active areas of the theater. So there's like a lot of stories and a lot of lore about this particular floor. And I wasn't well versed on all of that, but I guess some of the people on my team were. A couple of the people on my team were asking questions in regard to that theory. And we started getting really accurate responses through the ghost box. It also kind of seemed like we were talking to multiple paranormal entities because we were getting several different voices. We got several ways for you to communicate with us tonight, if you would like. You can use the ghost box so we can hear you. You can speak out loud. Box? I don't like box. I sure did.
Well, would you talk to me? The drummer.
Anybody in here with drums?
Were you in a band?
Christian.
If you can, tell us what your name is.
Here.
Thomas.
I would say as far as the ghost box goes, that floor I think is where we got the most solid conversation going. Another thing that was pretty amazing that happened up there, and I didn't know about this until quite a while later, it was like right before everybody was leaving. There were a couple of people on my team who apparently they're like seasoned ghost hunters, and these two girls were like super awesome, and they had all kinds of like ghost pictures and stuff that they showed me. And really cool pictures. And they captured a picture in the hallway of like a shadow person, and it was such a great picture. I wish I had a copy of it to show you. Maybe if they're out there and they see this video, they could send it to me and I can show you guys. I don't know. Maybe not. But you know, if I were able to show it to you, I would. But it was a really good picture. I have to say, I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't feel like I got to see or meet Paramount Joe. I don't know if he was hiding that night. I don't know if he was just busy, if he had other things to do. There were a few voices on the ghost box promptly let us know that they did not want to talk to us and that we should all go away. Maybe he was one of them. Maybe he was just not in the mood for people that night. I have no idea what the case was, but I didn't find Paramount Joe. I'm pretty sad about that. There's always next year though. And I may possibly go back and investigate there. I would like to get a team together before I do that. If I ever do find Paramount Joe, I will let you guys know. So that is my story of investigating at the Paramount Arts Center in Ashland, Kentucky. I hope you all enjoyed this story. If you have any stories about the Paramount, any paranormal or ghost encounters, definitely let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. And don't forget to follow for more spooky stuff.